Okay, let's see if I can get the phone orientation correct for this video so it's not all like wrongly oriented. Okay, so I'm working here, so I got to make this quick. And every time I say that, it ends up being a half an hour video, so, or sometimes an hour. So I hope that's not the case here. But I've also learned that when I have the impulse to say something, if I don't say it, I lose it. And like an hour later, 3 hours later, the next day, I try to remember what it was. It was like, what was I can't even remember what I was going to say. Or I can remember the topic, but I can't remember the spirit and the thrust of it, you know. So I'm just going to break away from my work here, and I'm going to do this thing, and hopefully it'll be really fast. Basically, I want to address this issue of the masks, and specifically, I want to address a video that I saw of John Rice at First Baptist Church, St. Petersburg, last week when David and I watch, my friend David, he's a special needs guy. We watch the service on the big screen TV. It's like a 100-inch TV. It's huge. Down in the theater room in the apartment building that I live in, they have a theater room downstairs that's free to use for everybody, first come, first serve. But and there's nobody in there on Sunday morning, so it's always available down there. Actually, it's always available anyway, almost always. So, because I guess everybody has TV in their apartment, you know. So, but that's a really nice room. It's got theater seats that recline, and I mean, it's really nice. But so we watch it down there, and it's this whole thing with the mask is just getting more and more absurd with each passing day, because okay, I mean, it's absurd, but it's also like it's absurd, but it's also dystopic, right? It's Orwellian, dystopic, and absurd all at the same time. I mean, the Orwellian stuff is absurd by definition, right? Peace is war. Knowledge is ignorance. That famous George Orwell quote from his book, I believe it's from the book 1984. Freedom is slavery. So it's inversion. You know, there's a verse in Isaiah that I always quote. That says, "Woe to those who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter, who call darkness light and light darkness, and who call good evil and evil good." So it's inversion. It's an ancient tool of control and oppression, and it's the same thing with these masks. I mean, they're unscientific. They are oppressive. They are designed to silence, and there's a great meme about it. If I was more skilled and had more time to play around with video production, I could intersplice the meme in with the video, so you would know exactly what I'm talking about. But there's a great meme that says that masks are very effective. They're effective as a tool of division. They're a tool of oppression. They're a tool of silencing. And they're also a tool of gaslighting. You know, it's like that's what the Orwellian quote is an example of. Is an example of gaslighting. When somebody says freedom is slavery, ignorance is knowledge, and war is peace. That's gaslighting, because it's like, nobody can process that. So they're just confused, and people that are confused are easily manipulated. So when they pour out 100 million tons of gaslighting through the media, through the schools, through the churches, through the mail, through the websites, I mean, it's just continually online. Everybody's continually in a state of confusion. We're trying to figure what the heck is going on here, and then that state is a state of that makes people easily manipulated. And I have some vegetables on the stove, so I might have to jump up and go take that because it's boiling over. I apologize. Hold on. I should have taken my phone with me so you could see. Here, I'll take it now. Not that it matters, but anyway, just to. So I got some. Let's see. I got some. Whoops. See, that's the thing. when the water goes on the stove. I have some purple cabbage and some Brussels sprouts and some mushrooms and some cauliflower. I think that's pretty much it. And that's really cooking quite fast because I'm boiling it. I need to just not boil it so much, so fast. But and I put turmeric and everything, pink Himalayan salt and whatever. So it's not a delicacy, but it's edible. It tastes pretty good. Yeah, it's gaslighting, right? When they tell us these masks are going to save us, it's gaslighting. Because even Dr. Fauci in the beginning was like, he's like, people should not be wearing masks. That's if you're not, But then they figured out this mask thing. They just stumbled across it. It's like everybody thinks everything is a calculated, planned thing, but it's not. These people are predators, and predators are by definition opportunistic killers, opportunistic feeders. Like a lion, a bear. They just roam around looking for an opportunity. They don't plan. Like the Bible says, go to the ant, you sluggard, consider its ways and be wise. It stores up food in the summer. Ants and squirrels and things like that, they plan for the future because they're vulnerable, right? They're vulnerable creatures. They're vulnerable to everything. Birds, mice, rodents, they're vulnerable, So they plan, but predators like governments, basically, evil people, not governments, but evil people in positions of power within governments. So subsets, it's just anybody. And it's not just evil people in positions of power in government. It's just evil people in positions of power, any kind of power. Government, business, charity work. These big foundations with billions of dollars. On and on and on. Anybody. They're predators. They're opportunistic. So they stumbled across this mask thing. Somebody figured out, wait a minute, this presents a great opportunity because we can segue right from the masks to the vaccines, and the vaccines have. The vaccines are everything. With the vaccines come the chips. With the chips come everything. Everything. With the chip, we become, part of the Skynet. We become part of the Internet of Things, the IoT. We become part of the IoT with the chips, and we become part of the IoT with the vaccines as well with their nanotech. But that's a little bit more controversial and less well known. But the chips are widely known. So and the chips come with the vaccine. So anyway, when you become part of the IoT, then you become a product of the corporation, the corporation. If they have their technology embedded in your body, then you are with each successive intrusion, okay, you become less and less human. Okay, so the masks are a perfect segue from where we are into that whole. It's like an ecosystem. It's like a world. It's not just like one thing. It's like, the masks are going to do us in. No. The vaccines are going to do us in. No. The microchips are going to do us in. No. But everything is a step into, it's like you're walking into a swamp. You get 5 feet into the swamp, your life is not at risk. You get 10 feet into the swamp, your life is not at risk. 20 feet, 30 feet, 50 feet, but the point is you're getting deeper and deeper into that ecosystem. And eventually your life will be at risk because you'll be in the middle of the swamp and you can't get out, and there's 1,000 life-threatening things inside in the swamp that you can't escape from because you don't know where to. So that's the point, right? So anyway, I saw John Rice do that. The first thing that I thought was hilarious was when they started the video. It was him and another person who I'm not going to name because I don't name people unless they're being paid. That's just a personal credo of mine. The Bible says that leaders are held to a higher standard. So I don't know if I'm right or wrong. I don't know if my thinking is straight on this, but my thinking is that if you're being paid to be a leader, and you enjoy the perks and privileges of being a leader, which unpaid people do too. So there's a little bit of there, but I'm just not prepared to name people who are volunteering their time to serve in a cause that they believe in. It just doesn't seem right to me. But paid leaders, paid public leaders, I think that's right. It's good, and I think as lay people, we have a duty to do that. I mean, to me, that's consistent with what the Bible says of holding teachers to a higher standard. If you enjoy the perks and privileges of being a leader, then you need, for your own sanity's sake and for your own credibility and your own integrity, you need to be held to a higher standard. You need a higher level of scrutiny. Public presence, public scrutiny. They go together. So these guys, they want to meet with me privately. I'm like, why do you want to meet with me privately to discuss something that's going on publicly? That doesn't make any sense to me. That sounds like a whisper court. That sounds shady. That's like nothing I want to be involved in. If you're doing something questionable publicly, then I'm going to address the issue publicly. And all of these social media forums, they're perfect forums for them to respond, but they never respond. They just send me nasty grams behind the scenes and accuse me of things. Like Tim Whipple sending me a bunch of nasty grams, and he accused me of threatening him in Hebrew because I quoted the verse that says the wounds of a friend can be trusted. I'm like, I'm your friend, bro. But what you did up there was wrong. You insulted your congregation. You insulted their intelligence. You insulted their autonomy as free-thinking human beings. You insulted their adult status by talking to them like they're little children. And you insulted their devotion to their faith with this heresy, with this nonsense that you can't even make logical sense of it. Number one, with number two, which is important to me because I'm like kind of a logical. I'm a software engineer. I'm a logical kind of guy, But number two, in this particular instance, it's like what you said in the Christian faith has a historical precedence of literally being considered heresy, right? So this is a Christian church. You're promoting something that in Christianity has a historical precedence of being heresy. That's a problem, right? And you did it publicly, so I addressed it publicly. So why don't you defend yourself publicly? I mean, I don't understand that. Except for the fact that they're cowards. That's why I always call them cowards. They're weak. Dishonest, disingenuous cowards that are so used to being fawned over and worshipped. I know it's hard to be a leader, but they're like, I think the hard part of it is like they're breaking up little spits and spats of infighting between factions of people fighting over the colors of the flowers at Christmas time. It's not hard because anybody takes them to task. I don't think anybody ever takes them to task. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. And if they do, it's not for substantive things. It's just for trivial, like we don't like the music, we don't like the carpet, it's just for trivial, silly stuff that really doesn't even matter, And so I think they're just. It's just my opinion. It sounds bad. It sounds harsh. I understand that, but my opinion is they're just intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually weak, and it's probably not even their fault. I mean, probably the congregation dumbs them down. So it's natural. It's like a law of physics for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. The congregation dumbs them down with all this nonsense about the colors of things and the kind of music, and so they turn around and dumb the congregation. I mean, it's probably a natural thing. It's probably not even their fault, right? But fault. I always say fault is for children, responsibility is for adults, and opportunity is for heroes. That's a little saying that I made up. So it might not be their fault, but it is their responsibility to deal with it, and responsibly, deal with it responsibly. And in fact, like I said, forget about being an adult, be a hero, use it as an opportunity. However that is, you can use anything as an opportunity. Somebody throws a brick at you, take the brick and put it on the ground and start building a wall with it. Start building it, and ask them for another one so you can keep, that kind of a thing. So they don't respond publicly. See, that's somebody asked me what I wanted. I said I don't want anything. I don't have an agenda. I open my social media. It says, "What are you thinking?" I mean, I'm just following the instructions. This is what I'm thinking. And that is true, but I've been thinking about what do I really want? I mean, it's like, I don't know. I mean, a perfect world? I want a perfect world. So so then the question is, well, what's my definition of a perfect world? My definition of a perfect world is where men act like men and women act like women. Within reason. There's always overlap, and there's always exceptions, and there's always, but I'm just saying, all this chimera stuff where men act like women and women act like men, and it's not organic, it's not natural, right? It's imposed, it's artificial, it's political in nature. It's not, some men naturally act like women. Some are, some men are naturally effeminate, and if that's the case, that's fine. I mean, and some women are naturally masculine, and if that's the case, that's fine. But it's this artificial, politically motivated, chimeric, half man, half woman, stuff that is just not cool. It's destructive, and it's designed to be destructive, I believe. So, anyway, and so when I say that in a perfect world, men would act like men and women would act like women, it's like if you're criticized substantially, then respond substantially. If you're criticized in public, then respond publicly. Prove to the world that you have a response. But don't lash out like a little child or a little baby behind the scenes and start calling people names and accusing people of having negative negative motives, like negative personal motives for daring to criticize your Royal Highness. It's like, you're a public figure. You should expect to be criticized. You stand up in front of 300 people, you should expect to be criticized. And frankly, I think the people have a duty to criticize you, because that's how you grow in excellence. That's how you become excellent, because you've got all these people coming at you from, 360 degrees. They're looking at you from every angle. And the person over here doesn't see anything wrong, because from his angle, you're perfect. But the person from this angle sees something wrong. Well, you can't monitor yourself 360 degrees. You can't tell if your shirt is torn in the back. You can't tell if you have mustard on your tie. If somebody criticizes you and they're coming from a different angle, maybe an angle that you didn't even know anybody was sitting at that angle, and they see something that's legitimately wrong, you should be thanking them, right? Or you should be telling them why their criticism is you should be substantively telling them why their criticism is substantively wrong, but don't lash out at them and start accusing them of irrational, illogical stuff, like you're threatening me in Hebrew. It's like, I don't even know Hebrew, and that verse is not a threat. It's a statement of a principle. The wounds of a friend can be trusted, and an enemy multiplies kisses, right? It's like you can't always trust the people who fawn over you. And you can't, and you shouldn't hate the person who criticizes you. That's a principle. That's not a reason to get mad at somebody, right? So that's what I think about that. Now, getting back to the mask issue. So John Rice and his speaking guest there, very nice lady. I know her very well. She's a principal, extraordinarily nice lady. I love this lady. She's a wonderful person. They're wearing the mask when the camera comes on. And then John Rice is all dramatic. Oh, we have to demask. It's time to demask. It's like, really? I mean, are we going this Orwellian that you're just going to wear a mask for the theatrical effect? There's two of you there and probably a third person taking a picture, maybe a fourth, taking the video. Maybe not. Maybe the video, maybe there's just two of you and the video's on a tripod and you just, it's absurd, right? So it started out like that and I'm just like, oh my gosh, no, please tell me now we're not going this way. This is just crazy, But it makes sense because, these people are, they're like crazy partisan political activists. And every time you see Joe Biden, he's sitting behind the Resolute desk. It's a fake Resolute desk. It's a fake Oval Office. It's like a, but that's a whole nother story. But anyway, there's a whole bunch of weird stuff going on with Joe Biden. It's like his live, quote unquote, live inauguration was transmitted, not transmitted, but played, or whatever you call it, broadcast. It was broadcast 10 hours earlier and sent to people. before it was quote unquote live. So the whole thing is just weird. And then people standing behind him, they're there, and then 3 seconds later they're gone. And it's like, well, where'd they go? And so there's a whole bunch of weird stuff going on with that. But anyway, point is, every time he shows up, even if he's like the only person in the picture, he's got his mask. It's just Orwellian theater, right? It's Orwellian theater. It has nothing to do with science. It has nothing to do with health. It has nothing to do with public safety, anything like that. So anyway, so they got the mask on. So it's like, okay, so you're just doing what your political leaders do, like a fish thinks or stinks. I don't know if it's thinks or I always thought it was thinks, but recently I heard it stinks. So like they say, a fish thinks from the head down. So they're going to do whatever their political leaders, because they're local political activists masquerading as a church, right? That's what First Baptist Church St. Petersburg is. I believe it's like a hub of political activism that masquerades as a church. So so they're going to do everything their political upline does, and they're all going to, like lemmings, they're all going to run together, and eventually they're going to run off a cliff, I believe. We'll see what actually happens, but that's my personal belief. So they had that theatrical thing going on when the camera first came on. They're wearing, it's tough, we have to demask. And I just start laughing inside. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is hilarious, right? Like, you're wearing a mask just for the camera. It's like, wow, that's amazing. I mean, that's really impressive. That's like some serious political devotion, right? Right? I mean, to be willing to make that big of a fool out of yourself, that's some hardcore political devotion, right? In my opinion. So, but then at the end of every little session, John Rice goes, "Wear your mask. Everybody wear your mask. Ooh, just because I love you. I want you to be safe, so wear your mask." We need to be told, and I'm sorry about the theatrical voices. I like to be theatrical like that. But this is the chimera thing, right? What the purpose of the gender chimeras, the men that act like women, the women that act like men, the intermixing of the genders, like I said, artificially, for political reasons. It's not organic, it's not natural, it's not just the way they are. It's artificial, right? It's engineered. The purpose of it is for oppression. It's to legitimize aggression, okay? And the way it does that is through passive aggressiveness, right? Because everybody knows you shouldn't be aggressive with a woman. So when a man starts acting like a woman, passive aggressively, you can't respond aggressively because he's acting like a woman. He's acting like a female. "I just please wear your mask. Oh, I'm your grandmother. Ooh, be safe, everybody. Be safe." Right? So you can't respond aggressively to that, because it's passive aggressive, and passive aggressive is like somebody pretending to care about you when they're really manipulating you for selfish reasons. And like I said, remember how I said this was going to be long? So it's 23 minutes now. So I should probably stop this and start a new one, because it's gonna do that anyway on its own at like 25 minutes or something like that. So it's 23:20 right now. So I'll stop this and start a new one immediately. I'll be right back. Thank you. This is 1 of 2. The new one will be 2 of 2, because I know I'm not going to go past another. I'm not going to go another 25 minutes. I have to get to work. All right, I'll be right back.